Oh, hey, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the Efficiency Bitch podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Leone. This podcast is dedicated to all the women out there who are aspiring to have a career while raising a family. And bitch? Well, that's more than a name and even an attitude. We use it as an acronym. It's for bank, inbox, time, connection, and harmony. Each episode is labeled according to the correct topic so that you can efficiently find the topic that you're looking for. I'm here to tell you, you can have your cake and eat it too. The trick is finding efficient ways to get through the have-tos so that you can make room for your best life. I can show you how. Let's get started. Hey, welcome to the Efficiency Bitch podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Leone. If this is your first time, welcome to the Beehive. I'm so glad you're here. If you've been around before, welcome back. I hope you have subscribed so that you never miss a weekly episode. Today is all about time, and I have a wonderful guest here to talk to us about some of the ways she manages time through automating, eliminating, and delegating. Sena, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. Let's start with who you are, where you come from, and how you do life.
I'm from the Pacific Northwest, and I'm from a fishing family. So we're 5-generation commercial fishing. My grandpa immigrated from Norway, and he fished, learned from his father, etc. And my dad fished. My husband fishes. So I'm from a fishing family, which helps, and kind of knew what I was getting into there, but it's definitely a lifestyle. It's a full family lifestyle. My husband's in Alaska about 6 months out of the year, and I'm in Washington State with, we have 3 kids. I guess just real quick, also, I have master's in food science, and so I worked in R&D for food science. So I think it's interesting for this show. I think it's kind of interesting. I have worked full-time. I've worked, full-time corporate, part-time. I've been later, once I had 3 kids, we moved way out rural to our cabin, and I stayed home with the kids. And then we started this business. And so I'm working from home with the kids. So it's kind of fun. To me, I love that I've done it all. Like, there's no answer, there's no right answer, then there's no wrong answer.
Mm-hmm.
They're all just different, and it just suits you different, and sometimes just at different stages. So I like to put out there when talking to women, now I pretty busy. I have 3 kids. They were small. Now they're teenage years, and running this business, I've been running it for 8 years. And with my husband gone half the time, that adds a little particular challenge also.
Yeah. So help me paint the picture here. So when you say you're a fishing family, like my husband's a fisher, but like he goes in on a boat and a lake and like fun fishing. You're talking like commercial fishing, right?
Right. Commercial fishing. Yeah.
He lives on a boat for 6 months, or he lives in Alaska and fishes every day. Like, paint that picture of what that looks like.
Well, he does he does many things. So growing up, my family was longliners. So that's halibut and black cod. And what they did was they lived in Seattle, and the boat in the spring would go up to Alaska. They live on the boat. There's like 5 guys on the boat. The closest thing is sort of like Deadliest Catch. If you guys, if you've seen
that's what I was envisioning.
People like to compare to that, but they're on the boat. They're fishing for like a week at a time. They come back. They might have breaks. They might fly home. And then go out fishing again. So my husband does a bit of that. And then he also does salmon, and salmon fishing is, he's out of Cordova. So he lives like on the boat in the harbor. It's a small boat, and they go out for a few days at a time and come back. But then now he runs, along our journey, he bought a processing facility. So he also is a CEO of a processing facility. So because of that, he's up there now, even if there's a break, he's daily working the processing. So he stays really busy. Mm-hmm. We try to see him every month. So we might fly up to Alaska, or I might fly up to Alaska, or he might come down for a break. So that's our family goal. After COVID, we didn't see him for like 6 months in COVID. And so our family goal is to at least have some family members see other family members once a month.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you have mastered or work towards mastering, I probably because of different phases of life, but time management, right? Because not only are you running a household with your partner being absent for a lot of the year, but so you're managing the household, and then you're personally involved in the business as well. Is that right? From running the perspective?
I kind of laugh because at this point, we sort of have his and hers businesses. I run the online business selling our fish and we ship to people's doors. So I get the fish down from him and I do all the online stuff and ship it to their door. So it's like, that's one business. And then he runs the facility. So he kind of runs his business and I run my business.
Cool. Yeah, I love it.
But they join and we work together really well. So that kind of helps.
That's awesome. Okay, good. So you painted the picture. I can tell you're a busy person and you have a lot going on and 3 teenagers who, different phases of life require different levels of momming, of parenting. I don't want to even say momming, of parenting. When they're little, they certainly are very hands-on. And then my kids are 8, 10, and 12 now. So they're kind of in that like cool years of they're not independent teenagers completely yet, but they can also like go to the bathroom and take a shower by themselves. So that's really cool.
Really nice.
It's really nice. But they still can get hurt and don't have a lot of confidence in the world yet. So now you're entering a phase of teenagehood where they're probably much more independent. It's a lot scarier in different levels because they are actually like starting to experiment and leave things. So I'd love to hear your philosophies of time management as your kids have grown too, right? Because those things do shift over time. So and I talk about this a lot, my 3 components to time management are eliminate, automate, and delegate. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about a delegation, and particularly as it relates to children. And I'm interested in what type of things you've taught your kids from a young age, what kind of things you gave them as they got older. Are they involved in your business? Like, how do you not use your children as free labor, but use your children to teach them some time management and to teach and to help the family overall succeed?
Yeah, for sure. Especially when my husband's gone, I've always kind of turned to them and been like, all right, guys, like we're a team. What are we gonna do now? When they were little, that was a time I'm much more routine based than my husband. He's like the fun guy, and so he leaves and I'm like, all right. When they were little, be like, we're putting the chart on the wall because it's me and I can like, I know, like when my husband's here, it's a little freer. So it would be like, let's put the chart on the wall. We did everything. It's always been something and I just kind of made it up and it'd be different. So when they were really little, I just put a chart on that was like, okay, mom, no problem. If they just said that and then did what I'm asking, they go color a circle. There'd be a pen right by it. Okay, mom, no problem. And I over and over, I said, that's all I'm asking. Just if I need something and then you go do it. Like, then I don't have to ask 20,000 times. It's not a discussion. And they would get a real kick out of it. And they would think they're playing me like, okay, mom, no problem. And they go do it and go color a circle. And I'm like, yeah,
this is brilliant. Okay. I interview a lot of people about time management and no one has ever told me that before. Usually it's like the task that they get to color in. So your philosophy, and I love this, I'm super stealing this, is more about the attitude. It's about the response. You could have said to them, go pick up your toy or empty the dishwasher or get onto the roof. And if they said, okay, mom, no problem, that's where you gave them the reward, right?
Then do it. So you don't get to say, okay, mom, no problem, and not do it. But, yes. So it's the attitude and it's this team player attitude. And it's like, as hokey as it sounds, I'm like, I'm just looking for those words. That's it. That's all. Just say it and go do it. And it was magical. And okay, mom, no problem. And they still will, like, now they're teenagers, they'll be like, okay, mom, no problem. And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah. I don't care how much attitude you got behind it. Just get the shit done. Right.
Yeah.
That's
and
great.
Then I would have little rewards. So I'd have like maybe 10 circles. And I mean, I just did this with a pen.
Yeah.
And then I'd have a line. And then you get to the line, right? And I'd have a reward would be, I always had the first reward be cook dinner with mom. And they'd be like, oh, okay, first reward, whatever. But they let them choose the dinner. I would buy the ingredients and then they would cook it with me. But here's the big part. I would kick out all the other siblings from the kitchen and be like, nope, I'm cooking with this one tonight. Only this, nope. And then they always kind of acted like there wasn't their favorite. And then they always loved it.
Yeah. Cause it's the quality time that they crave and that, and you're getting to teach them a skill in cooking as well. So that's brilliant. I love it.
And so it was like a reward. The second reward would be more something they wanted, or a movie day, going to the movies or something even more fun. But I just found that sneaking in that cooking with mom, they liked it more than they thought they would.
Yeah, for sure. And those are the memories that'll stick with them too. They'll have more memory of that than they will of the toy that they got or the game that that's very good. I love it. Okay. So you still do that with your teenagers? Or is the habit embedded itself?
That habit, it's just like that has evolved. So that's like what we did when they were young. And now I joke, but we do zone defense. So now it totally changed. But in terms of like help around the house, I have given them each a zone on the main floor. Like they're responsible for their own room and stuff like that. But on the main floor, we have an entry, a living room, kitchen, and I just assigned a zone. So my son is 17. He has the entry because it's all his shoes and all his stuff. And he comes and goes all the time. And it's like, it's really easy for him to go, I'm going to my friends. And I go, is your zone clean? And he's like, and it takes him 5 minutes and he just does it. And then my middle child bakes. She's the cook and she's the baker. So she has the kitchen, which works well because she's the one making the mess there too. But she also, she cleans it daily and it's really nice. And then my youngest does the living room. It's a little bit easier. You're folding blankets and things like that. So it just makes it really easy. For one thing, I am trying to teach them that if you stay on top of it on your own, it will be easier for you. It benefits you to just stay on top of your own zone so that I don't have a lot of arguing about like, well, they did it last time and they didn't do that. It's just like, if it's really messy, then you probably just didn't do it for a while.
Yeah.
And it makes it easy for me because I can just look and go, is your zone clean? It's a yes or no. And let's just get it done. And so, I really like that for the teenage years because it's less hokey for a teenager and just more like, okay, just go do it. If they really want to go to their friends, they clean very fast.
Yeah, it's amazing what they'll do when they're motivated, right? It's and we've tried a lot of stuff. My kids are able now to help with laundry and are able to help with the kitchen and those types of things. But we do get a lot of, well, last time they left that for me and I'm going to leave it for them. This time it's amazing what they can remember when the scorekeeping's on the line. So I love this idea of zone defense. This is 2 new things, Sena. I'm excited. This is wonderful. Okay. Really helpful. Okay. So that is really smart in delegation. Do you have other ways that you delegate items outside of your children? Do you have people that you help that hire you? Let me try that again. Do you have people who you've hired to help you either in your home or in your business that have helped with your delegation?
Yeah. And I have to really focus on delegation. I especially when it comes to hiring other people, that's hard for me. And I really do try. And I feel like I've come a long ways, and I have a warehouse guy that helps me with the shipping and the orders. And I have slowly given him more. And like when we go to Alaska every summer for 2 to 6 weeks. And when I leave, I used to leave, I like, okay, now you do this, fulfilling the orders. And then I came back and I just took it back. I didn't even realize I was doing that. And then the next time I left, I said, okay, I left, he ran it all without me for like 6 weeks. And when I came back, I gave him a raise and said, part of your job now is to not let me take these tasks back. Do not let me do them, please. You clearly can do it. Do not let me. And he took it serious and was like, okay. And that approach has helped a lot, is just like, listen, I will try to do it all. Please just put the brakes on. And I have a VA now, that's new. And I have to tell her, I need you to proactively tell me, oh, I can do this for you. because, I kind of have a tendency to grab on and do as much as humanly possible.
Yeah. And when it's your own business, right?
Yeah.
The whole thing belongs to you, the ownership of all of it.
Yeah.
And so I find that too, as a business owner, right? I have an amazing person who does the podcast for me that manages it. And I have somebody who helps with virtual admin stuff and social media and those pieces. And it can be very difficult to not come back in and take it. Right.
Right.
So it is. And the same thing with the kids. The kids didn't fold the laundry right. So I'm going to go redo it myself.
Right.
And
Right.
some of those elements can be really challenging to, once you've delegated, let it stay.
Yeah.
It's a muscle. You got to train it.
Like the house, it's messy.
Mhm.
And if I had a real hang up about like a clean house all the time, I wouldn't be able to delegate that to the kids because they're not perfect. They're busy, and so that's part of it is like, yeah, it gets bad sometimes and they have to clean it up still because I did not step in and clean it while they were at school. I was busy.
Yeah. Yeah. It is difficult to let exactly what you just said there happen, right? If your kid goes to school and their zone is a mess, if you go then clean it up for them, they didn't learn the lesson later. But I am absolutely one of those people who would go clean it up because it would drive me crazy to not have it clean. And so those are the areas of delegation for me that are really challenging, because once you've given it away to your child to do, you have to let them finish. Just like if you've hired a virtual assistant or somebody to fulfill your orders, as you mentioned, you have to let them keep it. Otherwise you're double doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's complicated. Okay. The next part that I really like to talk about is automation. And so automation comes in a couple forms for me. One is through technology. I am a huge fan of tech. My Roomba is going on right now as we speak because it's one of my favorite robots to ever have, but also in the form of habits. So I wondered if you had any habits that are really important to you, either in your business or at home or in both, habits or technology that you really use for automation.
I'm not a huge tech person personally, like in my personal life, but for my business, we have a website, we sell direct to consumer, and I use email and I love it. I sell with email. I write an email once a week, but I also have the automation set up. So I have the welcome series and the abandoned cart and those types of automations that I really love. It helps my business run. So we're shipping and there's a lot of automation in the background, and I like to be very efficient. As a business owner, you have to write content and blog posts and emails. And I just like to be very efficient around that. So I will like write an email and that might become a blog post, and then it'll become like 4 social posts. Like, so in terms of like my work, I like efficiency and I like automation because I don't want to do the same thing over and over. So real small is in the inbox. There's like the 3 dots below, and you can have these. It's used as a signature line, I think, but you can have all these email responses saved. And so I have people ask about recipes, and I take the time to go and find these different recipes off our site, and I add the link and I write a really nice response. So if I do that and I write a really nice response to somebody, then I'm going to save that email with a heading, and then I can find it next time and do that again. So I like to have really like my really over the top customer service, but it really helps to be able to utilize those emails again and send it again, find it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Templates and things like this, I think is what you're referring to, like in an
Templates,
email
that's
form.
what I meant to say.
Yeah, it's so helpful. And I love what you said about if you write an email and then it can become a blog post, it can become social media too, and multiple social media posts. Social media is such a necessary part of running a business, but it can be the most tedious part for a lot of business owners to work through, because if you don't have a presence, people assume that you're not living, breathing organization anymore, that you're just like, that you stopped, right, doing business. And so those things, I think for business owners, if you're listening to this, and there's a lot of people out there who are coaches and are consultants and are doing all these different things, but that's how people know that you exist and to showcase your knowledge and your product. So That's great.
And I do find I love writing the email for whatever reason. Like I love finding the hook and really just kind of getting this one message out. And then after that, I feel done. And I have found that like I don't feel like coming back and turning that into a couple of couple of social posts. And so I have a VA now that does that for me. And I'm like, I'm really happy to do the one email and then move that off my plate and not revisit.
Yeah.
And
great.
then she has the content. So that's what we're doing a lot of is like, I'm basically doing the writing and she's doing the reposting, and that feels really fun and fresh for me. And I'm not getting just like bogged down on something that's really kind of boring and tedious.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are people who have businesses around this. So, and they do it well. So let them, right? Virtual admin, social media managers, like these people do these things really well. I am an accountant. I'm a bookkeeper. I'm a CFO. People hate to do bookkeeping. They hate to do the QuickBooks. I love it. Find somebody who loves it. Find somebody who does it well and efficiently and let them help you. It is such a huge way to get some time back. And, I use that methodology in my personal life as well as in my business, like delegate, outsource everything possible so that you can spend your brain power in the ways that you want to. I am definitely one of those people who will cut my cable bill in order to have the money to fund an outsource thing of something I don't want to do. I don't like to clean, so I would rather have a cleaner than a cable bill, but I want my house clean. If that's not something that's important, then use that analogy in a different way to make it work, right? But it's all about how we use our time, and we all only have the same amount of hours in the day. There are only 24 hours for every day for each of us. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. That is an unfortunate truth. I wish I had a couple more.
I could go for a couple more.
Couple more for sleep maybe, but actually I am such a huge sleeper. Like I prioritize sleep. Like my husband and I were comparing notes on our sleep the other day, and I'm at like 8.5 or 9 hour a night, and he's like 5 or 6.
Same.
I need a lot. So
I figure I go all day long and I need a lot of sleep. And my dad's the same way. Like, if you're going to go all day, then you need some sleep. But my husband's saying he sleeps maybe 5 hours. And I am a little jealous of the work he gets done in the morning, but I'm like, if I try, I just nosedive, if I get tired and nothing works. So it's just not worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that you have some secrets around meal prep. Can you talk a little bit about some of the automation that you've created in your house for meal prep and the habits that you formed there?
I think one of the main habits is just dinner with the family. And that's been something that I grew up with, and built our family around meal times. And we're lucky because we're home, and my husband, we do breakfast with the kids before school. We do dinner at home. And now we're getting in, so much of being in the teenage years. They're fun, by the way. Everybody gets nervous. It's fun. But the more structure you have in the early years, it's fun to let go a little bit. And the kids they appreciate it, rather than being loose and then late as a teenager trying to tighten up,
Yeah.
So I just feel like a lot of what we do now is based on what we've done. And I always prioritize dinner time, like cooking for the family was always a big priority. Even, probably big life decisions around like quitting my corporate job. I couldn't get healthy meals on the table. And when we moved, we were living way rural, and we moved to town, moved schools, moved down, and we got a house right by the schools. Now I have the 3 kids, but they can walk to school. And for me, a lot of it has to do with mealtime. I want to have dinner on the table, and I want to cook it. And so just knowing that boundary, like other people might have a different boundary around a different thing, but that's me. I will cook dinner in a dirty kitchen because I want to have a meal on the table. I just went so random. I almost forgot the question, but meal prep. Yes. So I think the biggest habit is just in my mind at 5 o'clock, I'm starting dinner at 6:00. We're eating. And that sounds really rigid. If we're sports events, we do a ton of sports. It's like we move around it, but it's having a starting point to move around. So if we get in the door at 5:30, I'm going, okay, what's really fast that I can cook fast? I know I've got this half-hour window. Like, to me, it's like, okay, my prep time shrunk, but dinner's still here. And of course, sometimes we just eat late and things like that. What I have been doing is, for one, I just have a lot of meals in my mind that I cook, and I have the ingredients on hand. And we do fish. Our freezer's full of fish. So I should say, yes, it's fish a lot. I can defrost it very quickly. And I joke, but we have this like marinated miso black cod, and it's already marinated in the package. You pull it out and I joke that I can make that with rice as fast as anybody else can make dino nuggets. So it's just a mental thing that it's not always that hard to get dinner on the table, but it's the routine. I feel like I'm starting to repeat myself, but it's that routine. So what I've started doing now is, if I don't do a big meal prep day, because every day is busy for me. I don't have a day that feels like, oh, I'm going to prep 5 meals. Like every single day feels like I'm going to barely get, I'm going to get this meal on the table. So what I started doing is, just, if I'm going to go through the motions and I'm going to cook the fish or cook the meat, I'm going to grill, then I'm going to just grill double. So if I grill chicken, I'm going to grill double chicken. And it's really not taking any more time and energy for me to marinate that chicken, put it all on the grill. And then the next night I'm going to make a meal out of that. And so just doing kind of, bigger meals. We're a family of 5, so it takes a lot of food to not have to have leftovers. And I'll plan for lunch too. So just, I think cooking more at a time has really been a time saver there.
Yeah, I agree. The meal prep theory around like prep on Sundays never worked for me, because I'm busy on Sundays too. I'm busy all the days. So I do really appreciate the idea of come up with what you're going to make, and then make 2 amounts of that protein, or 2 amounts of whatever it is that you're doing, so that you can use that same thing tomorrow or at lunch or dinner 2 days from now in order to manage that. Because it's the ability to save food and preserve food rather in the freezer or in the fridge. There's some amazing containers out there that can really help with shelf life. And even with produce now, like you can get produce to last quite a long time. I have a very specific goal in my household that I go to the grocery store once a week. My husband loves to go to the grocery store. Loves it.
Mine too.
It's like I'm like, dude, what are you going for again? It's not the hardware store. He's obsessed, but it drives me nuts. So I said to him a long time ago, no, we go once a week. We will look at in our pantry. We will look at what we're having for the week. We'll plan out what's happening with the sports, but we will go to the grocery store once a week. For a few reasons. Being a finance professional, I recognize how much the stores love it that you go in several times a week, right? Like the retailers love that you have no plan. Love it.
Yeah.
That's why they put all the good stuff on the aisles, because they're like, come down here on the end caps, they're trying to draw you into the end caps, so that's the most expensive stuff, or the best profits for them. So I am so hyper aware of the retail strategy behind a lot of it that I am always trying to counteract it. So from a money saving perspective, going once a week, I shop my pantry first. I want to make sure that I didn't forget that I had that chicken in the freezer, or forget that I had bread in this house. Seems to be the thing we're always out of, but we always have too much of.
Right.
It's like no one can ever find the damn bread. I don't know why. So shopping that pantry first and like really knowing what you're going for. And then I am a huge like online shopper from food. I'll either order it, on the app and then go get it, or have it delivered. That also has really helped me save some time, but make sure that I don't spend extra while I'm there.
Oh yeah. You're not
so easy.
You're not like, oh, that looks good.
Even with the delivery fee and the tip, I end up saving money, because I will buy a bunch of extra stuff that I don't need when I'm at the grocery store. The retailers know what they're doing.
You go in for 3 things, you come out with 7. It's just like
in Arizona where I live, it's summertime. Well, it's summertime everywhere, I suppose, in this hemisphere. But there's pool floats everywhere at the grocery stores here because everybody has a pool. And so if I go to the grocery store with a kid, I end up coming home with a stupid pool float. That's not what I went to the grocery store for. So, it's things like that that really are impactful for me from a money perspective so that I don't end up spending too much money. And my husband teases me now that I haven't been to a grocery store since before COVID, and mostly true. I think I've only been half a dozen times or so since COVID happened because I do the online shopping or because I send him once a week. He's only allowed to go. So.
Oh, I love it. No,
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Sena, thank you so much for this. This was wonderful. Why don't you share with the audience where they can find you and continue a conversation?
Oh, yeah. Come check out our website, senasea.com, senasea.com. And I like to tell people jump on our email list. It's not just, I know you're on a lot of lists, but the first thing you get is a cookbook on how we cook the fish. So if you're interested in fish, that's a great place to start. Also, our list is fun, and I email every week, and I talk about our life and our lifestyle and kind of make it fun. And it's just a really nice place to connect. So I love it if you join us there. We're also on Instagram, and that's where you'll see our repurposed emails.
I love it. So good. Sena, thank you so much for being here today. And thank you for listening. I'm so glad that you came. Welcome to the Beehive. If you haven't already subscribed, please make sure you do so that you don't miss any episodes. Until next week, I'm Melissa Leone. See ya. Well, that wraps it up. Thank you so much for listening. If you're new around here, please be sure to leave us a review on any podcast platform you're listening to. And you can always reach out to me to let me know what topics you're interested in hearing about, or maybe telling me someone you think would be great for the show. Either way, I'd love to hear from you. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at EfficiencyBee. Until next time, see ya!